This is another urgent news report. My name is DMagician2500, and today I would like to talk to you about viruses. Viruses. There's a lot of information and misinformation out there on the World Wide Web, and while I am no expert, I will try to shed some light on viruses for the average person. What is a virus? Well, a virus is an envelope of sorts, made up of lipid layer or fat, which encloses DNA or RNA pieces. This lipid envelope is surrounded by certain structures that specifically attach to certain cells of organisms. This lipid layer and surrounding structures come in a wide range of variances. Some viruses are smaller and attack bacteria, known as bacteriophages, while other viruses attack or attach to larger cells of organisms. The coronavirus is a type of virus, a family of viruses which include common cold, SARS, MERS, and SARS-CoV-2, the disease that causes COVID-19. This type of family of viruses has the name corona because the virus appears to have a crown. At least that's what I've read so far on Reddit. And corona is Latin for crown. Also, as a side note, the beer Corona has nothing to do with the coronavirus. So nothing to worry about there. You can continue to enjoy your Corona beer, of course in moderation. More a little bit on that later on. Okay, so just how did viruses begin? This is a question that really bothers me and shakes my very foundation. Viruses are relatively simple biologically speaking, much more simple than a cell. However, viruses can only replicate or create more of themselves while in a living cell. So the question I have is, did viruses evolve before cellular life began, or after? If they evolved before, how do they replicate? And if they evolve after, what purpose does this serve? Viruses are thought of as bad, but viruses are perhaps a major contributor to diversifying the gene pool and driving evolutionary changes. So perhaps there is a bright side after all. Are viruses alive? From what I can tell, no, they are not alive. But they aren't really dead either. I like to think of viruses as nature's simplest form of zombies, or perhaps a very small robotic artificial intelligence. Very cool, but also dangerous, either way. Something that I've always wondered, why is it that only certain viruses are spread by mosquitoes or ticks, even while others are said not to be spread by this route? Mosquitoes can spread West Nile, Zika, dengue fever, but there is no evidence that mosquitoes are able to transmit the flu viruses or the novel coronavirus that is ravaging the world currently. I'm not going to pretend to know why that is, but perhaps the answer has something to do with how the virus spreads inside of a human and whether the virus is in the bloodstream. That's my hunch, but again, I do not know. Okay, so now that we have scratched the surface of what viruses are and where they come from, let's take a look at where we are with the spread of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19 disease. Back in January, the World Health Organization was notified of a new virus in China. Later that same month, China puts a large city on lockdown. Unfortunately, the virus has already been spreading. March 2020, Italy imposes lockdown in the beginning of March. The World Health Organization officially declares a pandemic. The US and other countries officially go on lockdown. May 2020, it looks like the virus perhaps is slowing, and the US starts reopening the economy, perhaps too soon. July 2020, the virus spread ramps back up, although this is still a continuation of the first wave, not a true second wave. Not enough people took this virus seriously, unfortunately. So what does the future look like? September 2020, just around the corner. In some instances, it's already here. So with the push for schools to reopen and the return of flu season, indoor transmission of both the flu and the novel coronavirus is likely to spread and be a dangerous situation. It might be a good time to escape civilization for 6 months until a good safe vaccine is readily available. Or will the virus just go away, as some people have been claiming for a while now, and could a vaccine be ready earlier than originally planned? I'm not really sure, but what I do know is there's a lot of misinformation out there about the seriousness of the disease, so I urge everyone watching and everyone not watching to listen to the science and to the leading experts. This is a dangerous and deadly disease, and while we are only scratching the surface of how this virus works, there is still much we don't know, such as how long this virus stays with you. Is it like the flu, or could it stay with you for life, laying dormant for years and then expressing itself later on, such as with the chickenpox and HIV or herpes viruses? I'd rather not take that chance. There is a lot of unknowns. What we do know is that wearing a mask, social distancing, and washing hands regularly do really help cut the transmission rate, and it protects you and your loved ones if we all take an active part in these 3 simple basic strategies. With everything going on, one can't help but wonder, is this the end of the world? Well, I don't think so. Humans are a scrappy bunch, so I think we will survive. But even if we don't, other organisms of Earth will. There's a saying from one of my favorite movies, Jurassic Park, which is, life finds a way. So now the deep thinking portion of my video is done. I thought we could have some fun and think about some unnerving ideas. Disclaimer. This upcoming thought is a conspiracy theory, and there's currently no evidence to support what I am about to say. Being the viruses seem to inject and provide genetic code that can stay or change human DNA over millennia, is it possible that viruses are introduced by another entity, aka ancient aliens, or maybe ancient aliens' descendants, the current aliens, to change and manipulate human DNA over time for some sinister or perhaps benevolent reason? My opinion on the matter? Likely not, as there are viruses for almost every living thing on Earth. Plants and trees get viruses too, so unless those pesky aliens are trying to modify everything on Earth, I find this conspiracy theory boat to hold little water. And there you have it, a little bit of information on viruses. I hope you learned something, and if not, I hope you enjoyed the video. I wouldn't be making these videos without the support of viewers like you, so I truly thank you and wish you all well in this scary world. Stay safe, and thanks for watching. This concludes the Urgent Special News Report.